All right, all right. I'm not going to do some big fancy intro like I did last time. You guys know what this video is about. Let's just hop right into it. Okay, maybe I lied. There is one thing that I want to talk about real quick before we get into the video. We hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel. I don't I don't really even know what to say about that. It's a little bit insane to me how fast we got here. I started these videos like pretty much a year ago at this point. Thank you, everyone. Let's talk about the scary bear game now. If you didn't watch part 1, you don't necessarily have to in order to understand this video, but it is a video I'm very proud of, so you should go watch it after this one anyways. That being said, let's continue our journey through the chilling environments of Murray's costume manor, which only get more dark and twisted as the video goes on. Starting off just after the example stage completely collapses, we awaken somewhere unknown. Traveling through a door opens up a somewhat unsettling environment. We're on a catwalk of sorts above a pool of strange green liquid. This is Edwin's recycling center, at least a part of it, and it's very eerie to walk here. You don't notice it when playing due to Edwin's speech and Dolly being very loud on her tracks, but this room and walkway kind of have a weird vibe to it. Something I haven't seen anyone mention is that this is actually a ride of sorts. We're just in an employee only area underneath it. That's a detail I love because it makes the MCM feel more grounded in reality. Edwin would, after all, have a ride to show off his inventions to potential buyers. We then get to navigate Dolly's behind the scenes tracks, which is cool as well. We then enter the main attraction, at least in my eyes.
I thought it would be fun to go with a doll hospital theme. Pretty neat, huh?
The doll hospital theming was, in fact, one of Edwin's best ideas, but not in the way I think he intended. This location is so damn creepy. Hospitals are just inherently eerie, but the way Steelwool built this one is on a whole other level. It feels similar to the workshop in some ways, mainly the half-finished mascot suits hanging out everywhere. They've just been left here to rot away forever. It's almost sad. The environment here is perfectly designed to be scary and is one of my favorites in this entire game. The red room with all the chains also stands out to me. I'm extremely scared of this room, even after playing through the game like 5 or 6 times at this point. It freaks me out and I love it. There's way more to this area that I love though. There's so much detail put into this part of the game. You'll notice that areas where normal hospital equipment would be are replaced with toolboxes, things that would be used to take apart animatronics. This whole thing is a big facade for where workers would dismantle robots they no longer have use for. If you think about it, this whole thing is pretty horrific. The suits are technically this hospital's equivalent of patients, and there's just parts of them scattered everywhere. Not to mention what they're actually doing with these patients. It's truly disturbing when you look at it that way, and makes this environment truly terrifying. One more thing is the grate on the floor here. It's unnerving to walk on this grate above a conveyor that leads to a pit of molten metal. Overall, this area just does a spectacular job at putting a feeling of dread and fear in the player, something very common in the later parts of this game. Next up, another peak chase. And another peak environment to go with it. This area reminds me a ton of the elevator repair in Help Wanted. The endless abyss below with pipes running all around is probably why. The whole industrial feel to the area is not too common in Five Nights at Freddy's, and they pulled it off amazingly here. It feels like you're entering someone's evil lair with all the buckets of molten animatronics around the place. It's very creepy and a great location for this chase to take place. Running across the conveyor belts is, I think, the fastest you ever move in this game, and it makes it a really fun chase. The chaos of being in this area where no one is really supposed to be, barrels and boxes in your way as you flee Dolly, makes an exciting part of the game. I mean, it is a fairly simple chase at the end of the day, but the environment it takes place in really seals the deal, in my opinion. Dolly isn't done though. She's a fighter. I don't have too much to say about this next area, but there is one thing that I want to talk about. This first section here, like this hallway, really reminds me of Fazbear Frights, like FNAF 3 Fazbear Frights. Am I just crazy? Does the room Dolly goes into not look like the office from that game with the window in the front and the entrance off to the left side? I don't know, maybe I'm a little delusional, but like come on, this gives me such FNAF 3 vibes for some reason. Now, I would love to talk about the elevator sequence with Dolly, but that's not really environment related, so I'll resist yapping about that for another video. The next place we're headed to is none other than the warehouse. This area is, well, exactly what you would expect from a warehouse. Boxes in tall stacks, pallets spread around the place, lockers for storing stuff, cardboard cutouts, and extra character suits. It all seems pretty normal, but that's not a bad thing. This area is creepy to sneak around in while Chica is on the hunt, and they did an amazing job building an environment that is both strong in theming and gameplay. The next part of the game kind of sucks and doesn't make any sense, to be honest, so I'm just going to skip over the goofy obstacle course thing and move on to the admin wing. This area of the building is a stunning example of how awesome steel wool can be when it comes to building environments. This is exactly what an office from the 70s should look like. The colors, the cubicles, the main desk, they're all very 70s. I mean, from what I know anyways, I wasn't around back then. The space, like most others in the MCM, is in disarray, with papers and boxes scattered about. There is also a large amount of trash bags around, showing that they were likely in the process of throwing out a bunch before the factory was left to rot. The design of the space also works very well with the main thread of this area, the cupcakes. These cupcakes... Wait, what? Oh yeah, sorry, Chica is the main threat, although those cupcakes are pretty annoying. Anyways, the gameplay here is highly enhanced by the cramped office space they've built for it. There was a ton of time and effort put into all the little details here too. It really feels real. Like, I can fully imagine this place when everyone was still working here, feeling much like a typical office space. The second floor of the admin wing gives off slightly different vibes. It feels more luxurious than the already fairly high-end floor below. This is where I imagine the most important and most trusted admins work. It feels calm too, but still unsettling at the same time. It is a resting point gameplay wise, but it does a good job at still having some tension. This is partly due to a locker in this room, which normally indicates that there will be a threat in here. Checking the locker actually reveals something far more sinister. Another Fazbear recovery team member who was killed by the Mimic. This means that the main threat has in fact been in here at some point, making the tension and dread the player feels spike up from this point on. We then travel up another staircase, this one far more impactful than any so far. It feels like you're entering something grand, and well, you are. Edwin's office is a very special room. Although small when compared to the other environments in this game, there's a ton of detail in every corner of the room. For example, David's corner. It shows that Edwin really cared about his kid. I mean, at least he used to. I don't know if he always did, but you know what I mean. He was allowed to have his very own area of this otherwise very official and put together room. Edwin was an inventor, and all of his blueprints dotted around the place show this. He also read a lot, considering the amount of books, and a fireplace with a unicorn head above is a classic executive visual. Well, maybe not a unicorn normally, but still you get the idea. A large window with a fancy design invites you over to the far side of the room. This is where Edwin's desk is located. The light shining over it is ominous, inviting you to wonder what has really taken place in the MCM. The beams and chandeliers above also add to the creepy atmosphere this room emits. This place also has a secret passage. which fits well with an office like Edwin's. Heading through the long hall feels far more sinister than the office did. The windows are letting in the dim moonlight from outside, rain gently hitting the windows as you pass by. At the end of this long hall is Edwin's hidden security room. Monitors line the walls, taking up almost every spot. Here you realize all you've been through to get to this point. You can see the workshop, warehouse, the doll hospital. You can even see the entrance to Edwin's office. It looks different though. Suddenly you're pulled away from the mystery of it all and back to the scares. Chica is on her way up. You download the Mimic blueprints to your data diver and take a vent to escape. You land in a room with really one main thing, an elevator. Edwin's room, and especially the surveillance room, felt pretty final, but it's here where you realize your journey is really just beginning. Going deeper, we arrive in the den of the White Tiger. The environment takes a complete turn down here. No longer are there colorful posters lining the walls, or, well, anything for that matter. This area is bland and sterile. The walls are just plain white. They're dirty to show aging and neglect, and very uniform in design. This is an employee-only place, so obviously there's no need for all that fancy decor from the levels above. An ominous lever looms at the bottom of a staircase, piquing your curiosity, but also your dread. What comes next is kind of hard to explain from an environment perspective, but I love it. You're in a pitch black room with nothing but changing overhead lights to guide you. It's very simple, but so incredibly effective at being scary and panic inducing. Again, the perfect environment for this sequence to take place in. I don't really know much about the layout of this space, and that's one of its many strengths. This whole thing is so unique for a FNAF game too. Really think about it for a second. Not once have we ever had anything quite like this. It stands out to me more than the rest of the MCM already does. This part still scares me on my 6th or 7th playthrough, and a lot of the reason for that is the pitch black maze that you're scrambling through. The White Tiger's design also works amazingly with the environment, mainly the glowing eyes. Overall, it feels fun, fair, and very scary to play through this part of the game, and that makes it easily the best location and environment in this entire game, and one of the best across the entire franchise. It's incredible what they can do with such a simple concept. After going through another iteration of this concept, a more compact and cramped area, you arrive at the Starlight part. This is another incredibly scary environment. This time it's more of an actual maze rather than a maze of lights in the dark. Your only option is to follow the arrows on the ground and walls and hope that you can make your way out. The compact space, blind corners, and decay of it all combine to make something truly terrifying. Even if there was no White Tiger, or any real threat here at all, I'd still be scared of the environment itself. And that's how well done this area is. You then traverse a section with mascot costumes peering at you from the darkness, left to rot and decay down here for who knows how long. I could never fully describe this area without going into free cam with lighting turned off, but I actually don't want to do that. Steelwool made this environment with a purpose in mind, and free camming it would actually ruin the whole game for me, to be honest with you. You may have noticed that all the footage in this video was gameplay footage with no free cam, and that's for this very reason. I never want to ruin the magic of this place for myself or anyone else. That was all of the environments you encounter, if you choose to go for the most basic ending of the game. However, as you're probably aware, there is so much more to the MCM. A door that you can only open after getting executive access is the retail showroom. This, if you don't know, is the room that is supposed to be the front entrance to the costume manor. This room is a collection of Edwin's best work. It feels more grand than any room we've seen up to this point. This is exactly what you would expect it to be. A store displaying all of Edwin's creations, ready for people to buy or lease. Boxes and boxes of Cleanovacs, costumes, accessories, everything available to buy. It really feels like a store in here, a high-end one at that. The ceiling is tall, lined with fancy patterns and shapes. There are displays set up to showcase all the stuff there is to offer. It's an amazing space, awe-inspiring even. I can imagine it filled with customers looking for props and costumes for their next carnival. This room that was once a hub bustling with conversation and customers, now left to decay like everywhere else in the building. The walls are decorated with funny clocks, posters, and other things you would expect to see here. There's even screens which once probably played ads and demonstrations of the products presented in the showroom. There's also some big present boxes that just really add to the charm of the whole thing. Moving deeper into the room, we can find a carousel hidden away. It is a somewhat strange inclusion, but I'd probably chalk it up to just being another one of Edwin's products, perhaps one that ended up at Fall Fest based on, Help Wanted 2 and stuff like that. Taking an elevator behind a locked door brings us deeper into the facility, to an area that is truly terrifying. I don't know if terrifying can even describe these tunnels. Starting with the big moon, this thing is creepy. I mean, what else is there to even say about it? The real star of the show here for me are actually the tunnels themselves. The old brick walls trap you in a labyrinth, one that is all too familiar to the threat of this area. You're in the moon's den now, and it's just freaky. The strong suit here is lighting. It's pitch black until you put the starlight in to power the lights. Even then, though, you only get a limited area to see in. Chains also hang around the place. The way the environment is used here to fuel the gameplay is incredible. Combine that with how scary it feels to even be in these small corridors, and you've got yourself a highly creepy and unsettling part of the game, in no small part due to the location it takes place in. It's crazy because this area is like hidden. It's not even, they put this much effort into a hidden area of the game that a large majority of people that play it will probably not find. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut this video short. I didn't want to, but I just have a lot of stuff going on in life right now. In the future, I may revisit this and completely remake the video when I have more time to put into it and I don't get interrupted by a lot of real life stuff. But for now, this is it. I'm sorry about the sudden cutoff, but I promise this will be the one and only time I do this, and I will be back to normal with the next video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, superstars.